Hello. In this video, I'm going to be talking about Marvel Snap. This is a mobile game that was released on June 9th, 2022. So it hasn't been out for all that long, not even a year yet. I played the mobile game Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes for years. I don't play that game anymore. Marvel Snap is the one mobile game that I'm currently playing. It involves cards, unlike Galaxy of Heroes. Now, I still know when additional content is coming for Galaxy of Heroes. I still am engaged with the community surrounding the game because I still watch videos and streams about Galaxy of Heroes. I watch videos from AP Gains and Heinz, as well as videos and streams from the channel Arnold T101. But the reason why I don't play the game anymore is because the game is not in a good state quality wise. The game is subpar when it comes to its quality. And that comes down to the fact that the studio running Galaxy of Heroes CG or Capital Games clearly doesn't care about their own game anymore. They don't care enough to put a lot of effort into the game, to focus on creating a lot of new content or make the game more fun to play. So that's why I stopped playing Galaxy of Heroes personally. So now I just simply watch videos and streams about the game. I've been having a ton of fun playing Marvel Snap for a couple of reasons. Because the game is fun to play, the games themselves don't take particularly long. It's a simple game that's not complicated. You can play Marvel Snap for as long as you want, unlike Galaxy of Heroes, where there's only a limited amount of things you can do. Also, with Marvel Snap, there is a mode that allows you to play with your friends. There's a sandbox mode in Marvel Snap that is really big. And in fact, what's frankly embarrassing is that after over 7 years of being around, Galaxy of Heroes still does not have a sandbox mode or a way for you to play with your friends, while Marvel Snap does. Right there, you can clearly see the difference that one game is being run by a studio that cares about it, the other game is being run by a studio that doesn't care about it. The fact that after less than a year of being around, Marvel Snap already has a sandbox mode and a way for you to play with anyone you want, whereas Galaxy of Heroes still does not have these features after having been around since 2015. That is absolutely embarrassing. Now I'm going to discuss the basics of how Marvel Snap works. So, first of all, in each game, you have 3 different locations. These locations have different abilities. Each game has 6 rounds. During each round, you have a certain amount of energy that you can use to play cards. During round 1, you have 1 energy. Then during round 2, you have 2 energy, so on, till you get to round 6, where you have 6 energy. There are a couple of ways to increase that. There's one location that has this effect. If you don't play any cards here, you get +1 energy during your turn. Also, there's this one card in Marvel Snap called Electro that does allow you to increase your max energy by 1. But that's it, though. There aren't any other ways to increase the amount of energy you have during each round. Now, each card has a cost that's stated on the top left corner. If a card costs 1, for example, you need 1 energy in order to play that card, that so on and so forth. And then each card has a certain amount of power that's stated at the top right. That determines how much power each location will have. Because if you play a card that costs 1 and offers you 2 power at a particular location, then you have 2 power at that location. And then if you play a card that gives you 4 more power, you have 6 power at that location. You win a location by having more power there than your opponent. And the goal of these games is to win as many locations as possible. If you win 2 out of 3 of the locations or all 3 of them, then you win the game. Now let's say that you win one location, your opponent wins another location, and then there's a tie at the other location. In that case, it comes down to which player is higher ranked in the game. Same thing applies if you win one location or your opponent wins that location, and then the other 2 are a tie. So that right there is the basics of how Marvel Snap works. Now, I'm not going to go into all the details about how the game works, because now I'm going to discuss some of my favorite locations in the game. So first of all, there's this location that has this effect: draw a card. Now, one thing I'd like to mention here, actually, is that when the game begins, 1 out of 3 of the locations is revealed. And then at the end of turn 1, then a second location is revealed. Yeah, then at the end of turn 2, the third location is revealed. So there's this one location that has this effect when it's revealed: draw a card. That's a good one, because anytime you can draw additional cards, that's a good thing. Also, there's this location that has this effect: +1 energy this turn. That's a good one, because any way for you to get more energy is a good thing. And then there's a different location that gives you +5 energy. That can really change up a game. Because, for example, let's say that in your hand at the beginning of the game, you have a card that costs 6. Normally, you would not be able to play that card on turn 1, because you have 1 energy during round 1 usually. But let's say that this location here, which is called Project Pegasus, is location number 1. In that case, you have +5 energy. That means that you have 6 energy. That means that you could then play a 6 cost card on turn 1, which you're usually not able to do. That really changes up a game, therefore is quite refreshing. And then there's this other location that says when you play a card at this location, fill this location with copies of it. If you play a card that gives you a lot of power at this location, and then you get to fill the location with copies of it, then that is fantastic. Now, to be clear, you can have a maximum of 4 cards at each location. So let's say that you play a card at this location that gives you 10 power. You then fill this location with 3 other copies of it, as long as there aren't any other cards there. But if that happens, if you get 3 other copies of a card at this location, then you have 40 power at that location, which is fantastic. Also, there's a different location that has this effect. When you play a card here, a copy of that card is placed on one of the other two locations. Ooh, that's great. Because if you play a powerful card there, then you can put a copy of it on another location. It's a fantastic way to get more power at the locations. Because if you have a card that costs 6 and gives you 5 power, for example, it's going to be hard to play. It would be hard to play a card like that 2 different times throughout a game because it costs 6, meaning that's an expensive card. But if you play that card at this location, then a copy of that six cost card is placed at a different location, which is fantastic. Also, there's another location that has this effect. Cards cost 1 less. That's a great one, because if cards are cheaper, then you can play more of them. So this is always helpful. Also, there's a different location that has this effect. On reveal effects happen twice at this location. Now, to be clear, certain cards in Marvel Snap have on reveal effects, meaning these effects happen as soon as you play the card. Now, if you can use this, when you're able to use this location to to get a powerful on reveal effect twice, ooh, that is really good. Then there's a different location that has this effect. Ongoing effects of this location are doubled. An ongoing effect is one that goes on throughout the entire game, meaning it's permanent rather than temporary. So if you're able to use this location to double some really powerful ongoing effect, then that is fantastic. Also, there's this other location called the Peak that says this: each card in your hand swaps its power and cost. Now, to be clear, this location is not always helpful. It depends on, of course, what cards are in your hand. But it can be absolutely fantastic. So there's this one card in Marvel Snap called Iron Man. It costs 5, gives you 0 power, but then when you play it at a location, you double whatever power you have already at that location. Now let's say that Iron Man is in your hand. The location Peak is revealed that swaps the power and cost of every card in your hand. Well, that makes it so that Iron Man cost 0, gives you 5 power, and then doubles however much power you already have at that location. Ooh, that is fantastic. There's a different card in Marvel Snap that cost 3, provides you with 0 power, then gives 3 other cards you have played plus 2 power. Well, if this card is in your hand when this location is revealed, this card now costs 0, provides you with 3 power, and gives 3 other cards you've already played at a location plus 2 power. Ooh, that is great. Now, to give an example of when this location is not that good, there's a card in Marvel Snap called Drax that costs 4 energy, provides you with 5 power. Well, if this is in your hand when Peak is revealed, then Drax now costs 5 and provides you with only 4 power. So now Drax is a bit worse than he was before. Also, there's this location called the Nexus. Your power, it says your power here is granted to other locations as well. So if you play a card at the Nexus location that gives you 5 power, then your other locations have 5 power as well. That is great. Imagine if you play a card at the Nexus that provides you with 10 power. Well, then all your other locations have 10 power as well. Also, there's a different location that says this: the first player to fill this location draws a 6 cost card. It costs 0. Ooh, that is great. If you're able to fill up this location, you can then get a card that provides you with a lot of power but cost nothing. And then there's a different location called Asgard that says at the end of turn 4, whoever is winning here draws 2 cards. Whoever has the most power here by the end of turn 4 draws 2 cards. That's great, because as I was saying before, if you're ever able to draw additional cards, that is fantastic. Now, at the end of each turn, you draw 1 card. You can have a maximum of 7 cards in your hand. You draw 1 card at the end of each turn. But if you're able to draw additional cards for either Asgard or the other location I talked about earlier, oof, that is fantastic. Also, there's this other location that says whoever is winning at this location gets free power at the other 2 locations. Oh, that is great, because it's a way to give your other locations additional power. Also, there's a different location that says when you play a card here, double its power. Ooh, that is really good. Because let's say that you play a card at this location that would ordinarily give you 5 power. Well, if you play it at this location, it now gives you 10 power. Ooh, that is great. And then there's this other location that says whichever of your cards has the highest power gets plus free power. Ooh, that's great. A way to make one of your cards more powerful. And then there's a different location that makes, let's see, thinking about locations. Oh yeah, there's this one called Gamma Lab that says at the end of turn 3, transform all cards here into a Hulk. Now, to be clear, Hulk in Marvel Snap is a card that costs 6 energy but provides you with 12 power. That's a lot of power in Marvel Snap, especially to be provided by only 1 card. So, if you play 3 cards at this location, then all 3 of them get turned into Hulks that provide you with 12 power each. Now you have 36 power at this location. If you play 4 cards at Gamma Lab, then they all turn into Hulks, and thus you now have 48 power at this location. And this location is a lot of fun. And then there's a different location. Oh yeah, there's a different location called Limbo. It increases the amount of rounds in the game from 6 to 7. You can't go any higher than 7 in Marvel Snap right now. But getting 1 extra turn is really good, because then that allows you to play additional cards, some really powerful cards at that, because by the time round 7 comes around, you're pretty likely to have some powerful cards in your hand. And then there's a different location. This one's called Sakaar, you get to, this puts a card from each player's hand to this location. That is really good because this provides you with a way to get to put one of your cards at one of the locations without having to spend any energy. Because normally, unless a card is free, you spend energy to put a card at one of the free locations. Well, if one location is Sakaar, then one of the cards from your hand is just placed at this location without expending any of your energy. And then there's a different location that says after turn 5, place a card at each side of this location. So what that means is once turn 5 is done, a card is placed on your side and on your opponent's side. This is just a ton of fun because a random card is put on your side and your opponent's side. Sometimes the card is going to be great, other times not so much. So how good this location is definitely depends, but it's still just a ton of fun, I would say. And then, let's see, there's a different location. I think for now that's going to be it. I'll be making more videos about Marvel Snap in the future, but that'll be it for now.